Namaste. Wish you an auspicious and blessed Vijayadashami. I want to talk to you today about an issue that has been bugging me for some time. Recently, the jewelry brand Tanishq released an ad which triggered a massive outrage on social media, especially Twitter. The ad had a Hindu woman ostensibly married into a Muslim family, and the family was so broad minded that they were celebrating her baby shower as per Hindu custom. The idea was to show this situation, a Hindu woman married to a Muslim family, as some sort of an ideal to which the Hindu girls should generally aspire for. This, when the lived reality of most people who get into such relationships is the exact opposite. Just a few days before this ad was released, a Hindu boy named Rahul Rajput, barely 19 years old, was murdered brutally in Delhi by his Muslim girlfriend's family. A few days before that, a Hindu woman was beheaded by her Muslim husband and his friend for not having converted to Islam after marriage. Just a few days ago, a woman who abandoned her husband, converted to Islam to marry a Muslim, immolated herself due to harassment from her husband and family. This is the reality that is reflected every day in the vernacular press in our country. But the left liberals would want the Hindu girls to think that marriage into a Muslim family is some sort of a Suraj Barjatya movie. Song, dance, and happily ever after. Anyway, there was outrage, calls for boycott, which forced Tanishq to withdraw the ad. Just a few days later, Eros Now, a producer and distributor of Hindi films, came out with extremely vulgar Navratri ads, virtually saying that celebrating Navratri is nothing but a free-for-all sexual orgy. And this sort of a behavior is not limited to just the ads. Every streaming platform, from Netflix to Amazon Prime to ZEE5 to Alt Balaji, are filled with shows and movies which have denigrating Hindu culture and beliefs at their core. The liberal media has already started their propaganda linking Diwali to air pollution. And this is not limited to just Diwali and or Navratri. Every year ahead of every Hindu festival, be it Onam or Raksha Bandhan or Ganesh Puja or Holi, the left liberals start their Hindu hate propaganda, vitiating the entire celebrations. Why does this happen? Why are we constantly under attack in our own homeland? Why do these media people, movie makers, and advertisers think it's alright to attack Hindu beliefs, festivals, and culture? This is the question I would like to discuss in this episode. Stay tuned. I'm Madhavan, and this is The Basement. I don't know how many of you remember this. In early 2015, just a couple of months ahead of assembly elections in Delhi, there was a spate of news reports about churches in the national capital being vandalized. What followed was a controversy of international proportions. Every major media outlet, from Al Jazeera to BBC to CNN to Washington Post to New York Times, picked up the news and started pointing fingers at Hindus and lecturing us about secularism and tolerance. Prominent Christians in the country like Julio Ribeiro wrote op-eds in newspapers stating how scared they were to live in India as Christians. The noise was so much that US President Barack Obama, when he visited India, was forced to comment on this issue. Soon, it turned out that none of this was part of some large organized conspiracy. Most of these incidents were random events of a thief breaking into a church to steal from the donation box, or the ball shattering the windows of a church when kids were playing cricket nearby. The same year, in late 2015, the holy Guru Granth Sahib was stolen from a Gurudwara in Punjab. After a few days, pages from the holy book were torn and strewn around in another Gurudwara. Again, what followed was massive protests at international level, from Punjab to UK to Canada. Some of these protests were even violent, forcing the police to open fire. A few years ago, I think in 2005 or 6, a Danish newspaper published a few cartoons of Prophet Muhammad. What followed was intense, often violent protests all over the world, including our own country. Then, a few years later, a French magazine called Charlie Hebdo published some more cartoons of the Prophet. A few years later, almost the entire editorial team of the magazine was murdered. Just a few days ago, again in Paris, a school teacher was beheaded for showing cartoons of Prophet Muhammad to his students during a discussion about freedom of speech, of all things. Again, earlier this year, after an incident where some far-right activists in Sweden burnt a copy of Quran, there were again violent riots all over Europe, even in our country. In our country itself, in Bangalore, just a couple of months ago, there was an incident where a nephew of a Congress MLA wrote something offensive about Prophet Muhammad on Facebook in response to a comment, an offensive comment about Sri Krishna and Radha by a person of the peaceful community. In the riots that followed, the home of the concerned MLA was burnt down. The rioters even tried to burn down a couple of police stations even while people were inside. What I am trying to say here is different communities around us respond in different ways when their religious sentiments are provoked. Now, let's see how we, the Hindus, respond when our religious sentiments are hurt. A few years ago, one of the holiest acharyas of Hindus, the Shankaracharya of Kanchi Kamakoti Peetham, was arrested on Diwali day in connection with a murder investigation without even proper evidence. How did we react to that? A sannyasi who was working to preserve Hinduism among the Vanavasis in Odisha was murdered by leftist communist terrorists at the behest of the conversion mafia. And how did we react? One of our brothers was murdered in daylight by two members of the peaceful community because he made a certain offensive comment about their prophet. And how did we react? A couple of sannyasis were brutally lynched by a mob of religious fanatics while the police stood around and watched. And what did we do? Our temples are desecrated and destroyed. Our celebration of Navaratri, Ganesh Puja and Diwali is restricted. Our temples are prevented from using loudspeakers while we are forced to listen to religious calls of prayer of other religious groups on loudspeakers. And how do we respond? Silence. Pin drop silence. Our response to every assault on our gods, our temples, our sadhus, our institutions was to turn the other way. Coming back to the question I asked in the beginning. Why are we constantly under attack in our own homeland? Why do politicians, businesses, movie makers, advertisers whose survival depends on our support take us for granted? It's because of the way we react, or actually do not, even when the grossest violations against our religious sentiments are done. We do not make these people pay for their actions. We have assumed this chalta hai attitude. We do not take pride as inheritors of the longest living civilization of the world. We do not respect the sacrifices of our forefathers during the centuries of slavery and violence. We do not respect the sacrifices of the hundreds and thousands of Hindus who proudly laid down their lives in defense of the Somnath temple. We do not respect the sacrifices of those Rajput women who preferred to jump into fire rather than allow religious fanatics violate them. That was our history. That was the price our ancestors paid so we can remain Hindus today. But today we have been lulled into complacency, confident that politicians who offer nothing more than lip service to our Hindu cause will protect us. Despite evidence to the contrary, we have taken things for granted. We do not want to pay the price that is required to protect our civilization. We are not ready to sacrifice even the most ephemeral of the things, luxury, in defense of our culture. That's why we are taken for granted. That's why politicians who depend on our votes to win offices of power turn around after winning and call us gundas when we protect our cattle from smugglers. That's why these politicians, after winning with our votes, turn around and call it overactivism when we protest against jewelry brands that assault our family structures. But I will not blame the politicians. I do not want to paint my brothers and sisters as victims. All that I want to do is to make an appeal. उद्यमेन हि सिद्ध्यन्ति कार्याणि न मनोरथै न हि सुप्तस्य सिंहस्य प्रविशन्ति मुखे मृगा. The lion might be the king of the jungle, but still, if he just lays down in his den and doesn't go out for hunting, animals do not magically enter into his mouth as food. Even to achieve the greatest and noblest of things, we will have to make sacrifices. So here is an appeal. Unless we develop a self-respect and stand up for our rights, we will not be respected in our own land. We will continue to be treated as second-class citizens in our own country. We should use every legal, democratic, intellectual and economic tool available to us to ensure that our voices are heard. Here's wishing that the protest against Tanishq and Eros is just the beginning of Hindu assertion. Even as I was editing this video, two incidents happened in India that validate all that I have said here. In the first incident in Faridabad in Haryana, a girl named Nikita Tomar was murdered by a Tawfiq alias Sajid for not agreeing to convert and marry him. These are the kinds of incidents that the propagandists from Tanishq and other such advertisers want to sugarcoat. In a second incident in Munger in Bihar, Hindu worshippers who were participating in a Nimajjan procession were brutally attacked by the police, beaten and fired at for no other reason while they did not resist. This is the reality of how the Indian state treats us Hindus. So as I said again, unless we stand up, resist and talk and demand our rights, we will be taken for granted. Hope you like this video. Please like, comment and share this with your family and friends. Before you leave, please subscribe to the channel. Till I see you again, Namaste.